So it took about an hour or so for the news that Julia Garner has been cast as the female Silver Surfer Shalla Ball in the MCU for the predictable response from men my age, older, maybe a little bit younger, to go on the usual rant, telling everyone in advance before a single frame of the film has been shot to boycott this and don't go. And, as usual, the followers, because that's exactly what they are, of these people are right there in lockstep, repeating the same storylines, the same taglines, excuse me, and really can't be bothered to think for themselves. Now, personally, I'm kind of over comic book movies, but one of the reasons that I'm really over comic book movies is the fan response. Because they have just become an insufferable bunch of fucking red pill douches that just tell everybody what to think all the time. And as in most cases, people are looking for someone to tell them what direction to move in, what to say, what to think. And then they just go about repeating the same, gobbledygook over and over and over again. But let's get into this specific case, and then hopefully I'm going to be able to show you a video of one such response coming from a grown man. Here we go. Let's take a look at, let's see if we can find it first. Let's go to an article by Deadline, and it says, Fantastic Four, Julia Garner joins Marvel Studios movie as Shalla Ball version of Silver Surfer. So let's go to that, and that is from yesterday at 2 p.m. by Justin Kroll. With the four actors set to play the iconic members of the super team, Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four now has its sights set on who will play Silver Surfer, and it looks like they are going with one of the town's biggest rising stars. I have no idea why Julia Garner would want to get involved with this thankless, joyless, perpetually moving crowd of malcontents that really is comic book or sci-fi fan bases. But she's decided to do it, and I like her. I loved her as Ruthie in Ozark, so I'm optimistic that it could be okay. At the end of the day, I'm not looking at the MCU for cinema. It's clear that they've moved into action comedies, but equally, like I said, insufferable with whatever you might think of the declining quality of those films from the first three phases is the ugly, entitled fan base that just thinks that, they can say and do whatever they want. And that they're the hero in the narrative. Sources tell Deadline that Emmy winner Julia Garner is set to play the iconic comic book character in Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four. Pedro Pascal will play Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby is Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn is Johnny Storm, and Ibn Moss Bachrach is Ben Grimm, a.k.a. The Thing. Now, I'm one of those people, I loved that dark Fantastic Four movie that they made. I love that movie. I think it's a good movie. A lot of people didn't, but who really cares? WandaVision helmer Matt Shakman, now that kind of concerns me, is directing Fantastic Four off a script by Josh Friedman, Jeff Kaplan, Eric Pearson, and Ian Springer. That sounds a little mixed. It probably would be better, I think, if we had one writer, one vision, one director, one direction, and just moved in that, as opposed to too many voices, too many hands on the wheel. Production will begin this summer, and the film is set to bow on July 25 of next year. Marvel Studios had no comment. While plot details for this film are unknown, sources say Garner will play Shalla Ball, a version of Silver Surfer from the comics. Garner's star has been on the rise ever since she won her first of 3 Emmys for playing Ruthie. On Ozark, she also landed an Emmy nomination for her portrayal of Anna Delvey on the limited series Inventing Anna. Since the end of Ozark, Garner has built out her film slate, starting with the recently released The Royal Hotel. Next up, she has the Blumhouse and Universal pick Wolfman. That's got possibility, in which she will star opposite Christopher Abbott, who I loved. I thought he stole the show in Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor, and also has the Paramount thriller Apartment 7A. So that's the news of that. But what got me was, who exactly is Shalla? This is an article from ScreenRant, and this came out this afternoon. Who is Shalla? The female Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie explained, in case you're unaware of exactly who this is. And this is by Sean Migala from 4 hours ago. It was recently revealed that the Fantastic Four will be including Marvel Comics character Shalla as the Silver Surfer. The version of the Silver Surfer will be introduced in the Fantastic Four, and that this version of the character will be a woman named Shalla. This member of the Fantastic Four's cast is a different person entirely from the more well-known Silver Surfer in Marvel Comics, Norrin Radd, who appeared in Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, which fans didn't like either, if I remember correctly. They didn't like that either. So take with that what you will. While Shalla is not the traditional choice for the Silver Surfer, she does have a rich history in Marvel Comics and is closely tied to Norrin Radd. The Shalla version of the Silver Surfer will be played by Julia Garner. Garner has won, blah, 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 blah. No, we just went to that. Marvel picked an accomplished dramatic actor may imply that they are looking for Shalla to have a very emotional story in the MCU. This not only tracks for typical depictions of the Surfer, but also fits Shalla's complicated history from Marvel Comics. And we get to a bit of the history explained. When Shalla was first introduced in Marvel Comics, she was the love interest of Norrin Radd, the first Silver Surfer. She and Norrin lived on the planet Zenla before Norrin became the Silver Surfer and the Herald of Galactus to protect his people. Shalla would later be taken to Earth by Mephisto and have her memory of being from Zenla erased for some time. During this time, Shalla's home was absorbed by Galactus, though he spared the people living there. Shalla was eventually returned to Zenla and given a portion of the power cosmic, which gives the Silver Surfer his powers. Shalla used her new abilities to restore life to Zenla and was made the leader of her planet as a result. She led her people during a war between the Skrull and the Kree and eventually helped negotiate its end. In Silver Surfer #2 by Dan Slott, Mike Allred, and Laura Allred, Shalla returned as a new villain, Keeper of the Great Truth. Shalla led Zenla in an interplanetary campaign, and this is only from a few years ago. This is from 2016. So this that I'm talking about in this paragraph, not going back very far. To replace the culture of different planets with that of Zenla with a device called the Illuminatrix. This brought her into conflict with Norrin Radd, who was living on Earth, and ultimately led to the destruction of the Illuminatrix and all of Zenla. In MCU Shalla casting creates several interesting possibilities. Like many Marvel characters, Shalla doesn't just exist in Marvel's main 616 continuity, but also in alternate realities. In one such alternate reality, both she and Norrin Radd were heralds of Galactus, and both were Silver Surfers. Marvel may be drawing on this version of the character for the film's inspiration. This opens up several possibilities for the MCU. The Fantastic Four may take place in an alternate universe, which is very popular nowadays, especially if you're talking about DC, where Shalla is the Surfer before later joining the main Marvel universe. This would allow the MCU to have its unique version of the Silver Surfer, so both Shalla and Norrin Radd could exist. That said, having the Fantastic Four take place in an alternate universe may be a bit too convoluted of a plot just to explain why Shalla is the Silver Surfer instead of Norrin Radd. After all, casual audiences likely don't have much knowledge of the Silver Surfer outside of Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, which is absolutely true. My next door neighbor has no clue about these things, and he might go with his son, so on and so forth. But I own a few long boxes, so on and so forth. They're fun to watch. They're fun to watch. I'll get into that a little bit later on. It seems entirely possible that the MCU will just be using Shalla as its version of the Silver Surfer, and either having Norrin Radd also exist as a Silver Surfer, or just not play a big role in the MCU. Now, the Silver Surfer is a C or D list kind of character. He's been around for a long time. I mean, I grew up reading about the Silver Surfer fighting the Hulk, and of course with the Fantastic Four, because Fantastic Four was kind of my comic book. And I enjoyed what they did in the first two movies, and I enjoyed that third dark version. Yeah, it's all good for me. The idea of White Vision acting as the Silver Surfer has also been floated around, but by having Shalla be the more traditional version of the character, Marvel would leave the door open for Vision to also fill this role at some point. Shalla could share some of the power cosmic with Vision, allowing him to also be a Silver Surfer. And then the connection to Galactus, of course. Whether Shalla will be based on the alternate reality version of herself or will simply be the MCU Silver Surfer in place of Norrin Radd, one thing is true of both versions of the character. She will have ties to Galactus. Now, that is the important point to me. I mean, the Silver Surfer's cool. And if I did have a criticism of the second movie, it was the way that they handled Galactus kind of as a cloud. Galactus was an enormous and intimidating character. So, okay. Which is also interesting because if it's going to be set, and I think this is set in like the 1960s, if Galactus, then this must be an alternate reality because in the MCU, this idea of aliens and, things that are happening around the time of the first phase of the Avengers are the first of its kind, to the best of my understanding. So if something had happened 40 years before that or 35 years before that with the arrival of Galactus, surely they would not have overlooked it, but who knows? The Silver Surfer serves as Galactus' herald, letting worlds know in advance that Galactus will be arriving to consume their planet's life force. Shalla appearing in the Fantastic Four likely means that Galactus is somehow involved in the story. This is big news for the Fantastic Four, as Galactus' involvement in the project had not yet been officially confirmed. However, if the Silver Surfer is going to be in the movie, it is very clear that Galactus will have something to do with the film's story, and he may not even be in this first movie. I always want these things to be good. That's my point on these. If they're not, then I say that they're not, but I don't root against them in advance because I could be wrong. And what was it? 60,000 people, fans, real fans that signed up some sort of protest letter against Affleck's casting in Zack Snyder's Snyderverse as Batman. Yeah, look how that turned out. So the fans can shut the fuck up. However, if the Silver Surfer is going to be in the movie, it is very clear that Galactus will have something to do with the film's story. What role Galactus will play in the Fantastic Four is still yet to be seen, but it is still exciting to see the MCU introducing two of Marvel's iconic characters. So, I mean, there you go. That's what we know so far. Now, here's the good part. Here's the reaction that we're getting, and it's all over X or any social media platform that you want to get into. This is. I hope that they let me get this through without hitting copyright, because I hope that doesn't happen. Here we go. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Nick Adams, alpha male. Nick Adams in USA at Twitter. Never met the guy before. Never really heard of him before. But here we go. And here's what here's a bit of his bio.
Marvel just made.
Hold on. Let's hold on. Nick Adams, alpha male, best-selling author endorsed by President Trump. Founder of Flag USA, 1776, presidential appointee, Australian by birth, American by choice, A1 policy ambassador. Man's got 554,000 followers. And lots of people out there follow him. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Brother James Paul Mondock, 18 others that I follow. Now, this is clearly not a small child that I'm talking about. You can see this. This is a grown man. Easily probably in his 40s or late 30s, talking about this is an ambassador, like with everything that's going on in the world. This is what this guy is focused on. So let's just get right into it.
Marvel just made the reckless and extremely woke decision to cast Julia Garner as the traditionally male superhero Silver Surfer in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. What a crock. Look, I have nothing against Julia Garner as an actress. This is about Hollywood deliberately taking jobs away from males and pushing a woke agenda. What's wrong with young boys in America having exclusively male, handsome superheroes to look up to? Silver Surfer was created by Jack Kirby in 1966, and since then, Silver Surfer has been a fearless alpha male, not female. When explicitly asked about the inspiration for the iconic Marvel character, Kirby claimed his conception of the Silver Surfer was a good-looking man from outer space who came to Earth when everybody began surfing. I couldn't do an ordinary teenager surfing, so I drew a surfboard with a man from outer space on it. If Marvel wants to make a movie about a female surfing superhero from outer space, fine. But don't castrate an iconic alpha male superhero in the process. A pro-Trump actor like Lou Ferrigno, Kev Sorbo, or Mel Gibson should have been cast for this iconic role.
I can't tell if that's a troll or if this man is being completely serious. With everything that's going on in the world, Israel, Palestine, Ukraine and Russia, China and Taiwan, that's what this idiot is. It reminded me of this, and this is where I'm going to close out the video. It reminded me of this line from Alan Moore. And if you know who Alan Moore is, then, well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's get into that just a little bit. And I'm going to go to this right here where it says, I haven't read any superhero comics. He said this a while ago, 7 years ago. I haven't read any superhero comics since I finished with Watchmen. I hate superheroes. And I'm starting to feel that way too. I think they're abominations. They don't mean what they used to mean. They were originally in the hands of writers who would actively expand the imagination of their 9 to 13-year-old audience. That was completely what they were meant to do, and they were doing it excellently. These days, superhero comics think the audience is certainly not 9 to 13. It's nothing to do with them. It's an audience largely of 30, 40, 50, and 60-year-old men. This is the God's truth. Usually men. Someone came up with the term graphic novel. These readers latched onto it. They were simply interested in a way that could validate their continued love of Green Lantern or Spider-Man without appearing in some way emotionally subnormal. This is a significant rump of the superhero-addicted, mainstream-addicted audience. I don't think the superhero stands for anything good. I think it's a rather alarming sign if we've got audiences of adults going to see the Avengers movie and delighting in concepts and characters meant to entertain the 12-year-old boys of the 1950s. That's my video. Like this video, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm curious to know what you think. Are you looking forward to the Fantastic Four? I am. I'm certainly not dismissing it before a single frame has been filmed, because that would be bullshit. Leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody. God bless you.